Let me see if I can adjust the light setting here. Might be too bright. There we go. Let's see, we had one waiting. Wait a second, I think I had to back out of the live and go back into it. But let's see if somebody comes back in. All right. Well, in the meantime, go ahead and tell you what we got on the table here. We got a Manix 2 here. That is, I think this is the Knifejoy exclusive in 20 CV, CPM 20 CV, and this has RGT titanium scales with the milling. It's like a sunburst pattern here. Let's see if we can turn that light down. Still a little harsh. There we go. Yeah, so that has the sunburst pattern there. It says they're contoured. Hey, Joe, how are you doing? Great to see you. Hey, by the way, Joe, check out the Patreon post. I posted something in the Patreon for giveaway, so check that out. Get back to me and let me know what you guys want to do on that. But these are the RGT scales on this Manix, and this is a Knifejoy. Hey, LCap, you too. I can't remember if you're still a patron, but either way, go check it out. If you are, if not, always feel free to join back. Anyway, I was talking about these RGT scales on this Manix. Totally gives it a different feel. These are the Flightanium, the titanium cage, but it has actually the tritium inside. This is the blue tritium. Hey, Pocket Razors, great to have you. Yeah, and this all this stuff together really gives this a totally different feel. I love the sort of Terminator look that this has on it, and yeah, I actually just got this from someone who sold it as a package. Someone else put it together, and they had the light spring in it. I never had the light spring on the Manix before, but the light spring was something I always or not worried about, but something I always thought about. Hey, would that be good? Because the spring's a little tight on this, and I'll tell you what, I like the regular spring better than the light spring. The light spring is just too light. It is what it is. If you guys are curious about the light spring, I think they sell them on Knives Plus, but it's definitely too light. I wouldn't recommend it. What I would recommend, though, is the ceramic ball. If you change out the steel ball for a ceramic ball, it really gives this a huge, huge upgrade on feel as far as how smooth it is. So the ceramic ball, out of all the upgrades I think you can do on a Manix, and I like the upgrade on the handle. I definitely think the ceramic ball is by far the best. My Manix Mohegan, what's the Mohegan? Definitely also check out 1.5 loops out of the original spring. That's not a bad idea. Keeping the original tension on the spring, but cutting out a couple of the loops probably is a better solution than a lighter spring, I think. It probably backs off the heaviness of the spring while not making it too light. Autocorrect. Yeah, this is this is a custom Emerson here. This is the, I think it's called the Viper. It's called like the M3, something like that. You guys who are Emerson guys, let me know. But I think these were only made as customs. So I'm really getting into Emersons recently, and as you guys probably have seen. That being said, I know they're not hugely popular on YouTube, so I don't show them a lot. But these Emersons are really cool. This one in particular, I really like the TKF. Let me see if I can go grab that one. Yeah, this is the Tim Kennedy knife. So I really like this one, and this kind of has a similar profile. Of course, the Viper came first, but the handle obviously is a little bit different. And I really do like the feel of the Viper, though. All right, put this one back. One of the recent things that I've also been getting into is a lot of old school knives that are, just kind of funky old school knives. So here's the ZT-0400. I think I saw this once before and then just forgot it ever existed. And then I saw one pop up for sale for pretty cheap, actually. And so I went and grabbed it. This thing was kind of a surprise. Never thought I'd get one of these, but it's a really cool Ken Onion design. Of course, it has the crazy curves of a Ken Onion design, and it's got a massive recurve and a tanto. This is like the enemy of what every EDC person basically recommends. Everyone says stay away from the recurve. The recurve tanto is probably something that nobody ever wants to sharpen. So, I don't recommend this knife for beginners, but it's such a cool knife. It really brings out my inner 12-year-old mall ninja, It's just really cool. Also, it is assisted, so it sort of harkens back to that, which is also why I got my Kershaw blur out here, because as you can see, the aluminum construction of the Kershaw blur, along with the track, the skateboard track on here, is very similar. Of course, you don't have it on the backside of the ZT. The coatings are pretty similar, as far as I can tell. Thumb studs are different, but a lot of people love the Kershaw blur, so this is kind of like an upgraded blur. Although these, I think, went for like $250 to $300, and a blur you can get anywhere from $60 to $120 depending on what kind of blur you get. So, there's that. Next to the stand with the wizard candles. Yeah, for sure. Break out the magic cards, when you go to the mall with your mall ninja knives. First assisted ZT. So I think the ZT 0350, which is a popular ZT, is assisted. I think that one is still to this day assisted. There's also been a number of automatic ones. I saw someone post a 0650 today for sale. Very expensive knife because apparently it's very rare. It's a hawk design. And the 0650 is an automatic, which you don't see a ton of on the ZTs anyway. So, but yeah, this one was assisted, and the assist on this feels pretty good. It actually says speed safe on it, which I don't think it's, let me see if I can get that to focus. Yeah, ZT doesn't usually put speed safe on their knives. So the fact that this says speed safe right there kind of is an interesting throwback. I do think that this is very plain on the back here for a ZT, so meh. Anyway, that's kind of what I'm looking at here. Do you guys want to see anything in particular tonight? Spyderco's, Benchmades, Emerson, ZTs, high-end stuff. What do you guys want to see tonight? Silence. We want to see silence. Okay, I like silence. I'll go ahead and pick some stuff out then. Is the chat working? Let me see. Show more rare ZTs. So the truth is I don't have a ton of rare ZTs. Let me see what I have. Here we go. I'm pulling a drawer out. That's what you're seeing here. So I have the 0620. And sorry, Joe, I know you said something. I don't think I saw what you had. Mad Hatter says Striders. Do you know the approximate market range for used 0804? I don't know. I'm gonna guess in the mid 200s for an 0804. Let's see. ZTs. Okay, so this is the 0400. This is the 0620. The 0630, I believe, was the Tanto version. And this one was a special release. ZT runs several color configurations and steel configurations. So this was an orange configuration, and it was designated 0630. Oh, this is 630, not 620. I have it reversed. 0630 ORB LK, so orange black. So the 630 is the drop point, and the 620 is the Tanto. But ZT made a great Emerson, I have to say. Great Emerson. In fact, if you're talking about smoothness and just build quality, it's better than Emerson. Let's just be real. This is a glow-in-the-dark version of the ZT 0452. So it's the 0452 GL. So this actually glows in the dark here. Let me see if I have a light to charge it with. So I don't know if you can see. It's hard. It's not showing up on camera, but I can see the green. It basically is green right now. So, you know, kind of a cool configuration on this. This is one of the most underrated knives, the 0452, and I'm not a big fan of Sinkovich knives. To be honest, there's a couple of Sinkovich designs I like, but there's a lot of them are a little funky in the hand, and I don't really like a lot of them. The 0450 tie I have at work. I don't have it with me, but it's too small. And this is, hey Joe, hey Biff's Blades. The 0450 is too small for me. The 0452 feels excellent. And this is basically a tactical steak knife. I do have an Emerson that's also a tactical steak knife. Let's go ahead and break that out. Also, Medford just came out with one. And I'm kind of curious to check it out, but I haven't checked it out yet. This is the Emerson tactical steak knife for comparison. So the ZT1 is longer. I do prefer the ZT1. And you can see rich light handles on the Emerson. And you see that smaller pocket clip. Of course, the Emerson doesn't have deep carry, but you can get that Lynch clip if you want. But the action on the Emerson isn't as good as the ZT. The ZT, the flipper tab, the 0452 might have the best flipper action. I'm talking like detent to flipper action. All steak knives are tactical, just a circumstance. As far as the flipper action goes, and I agree, El Cap, the 0450 is too small, it cramps your fingers. But this one, the action on this is the best flipper action on any knife I own, I think. And I've had a couple of these 0452s, just different variations of them, and all of them have the same action, all the ones that I've held, and they're all excellent. Just, I think it's the location of the flipper relative to the pivot, along with a good crisp detent, and just how long the blade is to pop out and really lock in. It just has one of the best flips of any knife that's a flipper that I've seen. Is the Emerson a Scandi or Saber grind? So, well, I think you're talking about the other one. This is, so all these ET Emersons were V grinds. Emerson does a couple different grinds. So let me bring out this. A lot of Emersons Emerson does chisel grinds on all their knives. Even the knives that have a V grind, meaning that there's a bevel on each side. So there's a bevel on both sides of the steak knife. So you'll see that there's only a single bevel on this side, and there's a double bevel on this side. So their V grind is still a chisel. So that's kind of how Emerson does theirs. Now, they're famous for the chisel grind. This is a right-hand chisel, which you do not see from Emerson. So this is a, excuse me, a Tactical Elements exclusive Tonto. And most Emersons are the opposite side of the chisel, meaning that they have the right hand as not the chisel side, which I think he did it to be different than a lot of, I think cooking knives were using the right-hand chisel grind because it just makes sense. It cuts in the right direction. And he wanted to do something different, so he did the other side. I still think it's the wrong side. Sorry, Ernie. Just is the way it is. It's why I went for the Tactical Elements, you know, when I went for the chisel grind of your stuff. But, and I actually have two of these. One in black and one in satin. Now, the interesting thing on this is I just got from Collis Customs. I don't know if you can see this. Let's see. He hand does these koi these koi discs. It's like a yin and yang koi. Very cool. And I have one in silver here. And then I have a couple other thumb discs that he makes too. One cool thing about Emerson is you can pen pal your knives kind of like Endura does. So anyway, these are the ZTs that I have with me today. Chisel Tonto, yeah, exactly. So those Tontos, those specific ones, let me just grab one of them. These were a Tactical Elements exclusive, and they came with a steel flame clip on them, actually, and they they have not reproduced them since. I don't think they're planning on doing any more runs of these. So if you can get them, the micarta scales come stock on them. You get the right-hand chisel, and you get the steel flame clip. Generally for somewhere between $350 and $500, although you can see them $600 on eBay all day. I definitely would recommend if you see one for $350, pick it up. It's a good price for an Emerson that is out of production and highly sought after, and right-hand chisel grinds are not easy to find. That being said, you're still paying $350 to $500 for, excuse me, 154 cm and you know, just I guess what a lot of people would see as past prime fit and finish. Excuse me. All right, what I'm going to pull out next is a couple Spydercos, I think, unless somebody has some suggestions. I saw suggestions for Strider. I'm going to be honest. I had a few Strider knives. I sold them all. I keep going back and forth. I like Strider. I like the knives, and well, I do have a PT Strider. I could show you that, but I'll get to that maybe in a little bit if I break out some automatics. But the excuse me, the true Strider knives, I sold a lot of them mainly because of, and we were talking about Manix. So here's a Manix lightweight. Here's that Manix. Let me see if I can adjust the color here. There we go. So we have the Manix lightweight, the Manix, and the Manix XL. I'll go ahead and break out so you guys can sort of see the differences on these. I kind of wanted to showcase this when I got this one to sort of show what the difference is in Spyderco you can get. But I got out of Strider knives a while ago because, you know, just back and forth with all the history with Strider. I know some people don't care. Sometimes it bothers me, sometimes it doesn't. When it doesn't bother me, I'll go out and buy more. When it does bother me, you know, I end up selling them off. And I just sort of go back and forth. If I knew, you know, better, a little bit more about the history, probably I wouldn't have such an issue. I have a Orange Rex 45 Screaming Sharp Edge. Yeah, so this is the Strider's the only auto I'm interested in. Why I asked if you had any left. Yeah, so I have I actually have one of their special edition Strider PTs, so I'll break that out in a little bit. But this is the Knifejoy version, and this Edge is factory. It did come sort of like new in box from the person I bought it from, and he said that it's the original factory edge. He didn't sharpen it. This is the sharpest factory edge I've ever had out of any Spyderco. It is screaming sharp. It's sticky, sticky sharp. If you guys know what I'm talking about with that, and you know it just has pretty even grinds all the way across. Not 100% perfect, but pretty even. But as far as the edge angle they hit it at and just knocking the burr and getting it completely right, excuse me, they got that one completely right. So anyway, about the Manixes, what I wanted to mention with the Manix is, you know, you have your basic G10 with the plastic cage here. You have your upgraded titanium with the Flytanium, titanium cage here with the tritium in it, and you have your lightweight scales here. Generally, I find that and Rex 45 is going to be one of those that I 100% agree with, that the steel is excellent. If you can get Rex 45, Spyderco does it extremely well. They do the Rex 45 extremely well. They do 20 CV extremely well, so I'm glad to see they have so many variations, DLT exclusive, Knifejoy exclusive. I think they have a couple others that are exclusives in 20 CV. But they do that very well. They do that well. They do Cru-Wear well. They do most steels well, but those two steels in particular I really like from Spyderco. The 4V on here, I think they do well. I've seen better 4V, to be honest, but they do it fairly well. This isn't heavily used, but I've had other Satanix exclusives. This does have a lynch clip. But I like the size of the Manix XL. Sage 1 and Maximate, but waiting for the Rex 121. Yeah, when I saw the Rex 121 was coming out, I was pretty psyched. Let me get a drink 1 second. Oh, my mouth is dry. So I was pretty psyched to see that Rex 121 coming out. But since you mentioned the Sage, here's another oldie but a goodie that I was able to get my hands on. Anyone know which Sage this is? So 121, I have a fear that it's going to be a little bit like Maximate and be a little brittle. I have some bad experiences with Maximate. I can sharpen it back up, but that is the Frame Lock Sage 2. That's 100% the Frame Lock Sage 2. I was so psyched to get my hands on this from somebody who sold it. You never see these come up for sale. So super psyched to get my hands on it. But the Maximate is something they do well. And when I first got it, I highly recommended the Maximate. And after I've had it for a long time, I would say I definitely prefer the Cru-Wear. I have Cru-Wear, I have 10V. You know, I have, that's the one I want, you lucky dog, yeah. I mean, if you keep an eye out, you can find these things. So the Maximate, I find, is a little bit brittle. I've chipped this a couple of times on, you know, staples and different things, and I've had to resharpen it. And, you know, it's not as much of a bear as people say to sharpen Maximate, and it does patina quite nicely, but it just chips a little too easy. And for that reason, I don't necessarily recommend it. So I am worried with Rex 121 that it's going to be a little bit of the same. Rex 45 is tough enough that I don't have that worry. And as you can see, I really prefer Cru-Wear. Here's my user PM2 in the DLT exclusive Cru-Wear. Absolutely love my Cru-Wear from Spyderco. They do it really, really well. Anyway, I wanted to show you guys some size differences on the Manix XL and some of the finishes and what I recommend. So the recommended upgrades, here's sort of my recommended upgrades. Tritium, don't necessarily need it. The titanium ball cage is definitely a good upgrade. I like it. I have had both the regular one and the tritium one in the past. Definitely like I like the regular one better, I think, to be honest. I mean, the tritium's kind of gimmicky. It is what it is. But it's cool. I like it, and it's already on this knife. So very fine with that. The ceramic ball is the biggest upgrade for the Manix. By far improves it just a ton. Definitely get a ceramic ball if you can. And the RGT scales are the most expensive upgrade, and they're beautiful, but I don't know that they're necessarily worth it. I think getting some AWT aluminum scales might be a better bet. PM2. PM2 Cru-Wear gets used and still doesn't need a new edge after 5 months, and the purple scales are so pretty. Yeah, that PM2 Cru-Wear is... The Cru-Wear from Spyderco is the best user steel they have, 100%. 15V avoids a bit brittleness, doesn't it? Yeah, so Big Brown Bear, Triple B, who's sort of developed the recipe for Spyderco for the 15V, definitely has torture tested 15V, and especially with his heat treat. So I have no problems. I have not personally tried it. I have not gotten my hands on any of the Triple B 15V, so I can't personally recommend it from my personal experience. But seeing the torture test he puts it through, and you know what everyone else is seeing, I wouldn't hesitate to recommend it. That being said, you know, people like Maximate too, and would recommend it with some caveats, and sort of I got on the hype train, and you see I have the Maximate 2. I use the Maximate 2, or the Maximate on the Para 3, but I'm not going to be, that's not my favorite steel, and it's not even in my top 5 of what I would recommend. So there's that. What I will say is, you guys remember Slicey Dicey? Voldemort, he who shall not be named. By the way, I owe a little bit to Slicey Dicey because I was one of the channels that he put on when he did like the top 5 unknown channels or whatever. I think the first group he did included Metal Complex and helped put him on, and then the second group he did, I think, included my channel. So definitely owe him a little bit. How dare I name him? But his favorite knife, I think, if I remember correctly, was the lightweight Manix 2, and I do not like it. I do not like the lightweight. It sucks. The blade is, the handle and blade are lightweight enough. It's really hard to fidget. It doesn't really want to close unless I really put some wrist into it. I don't love that. The pin construction isn't great. You can't swap out the scales. I remember incorrectly. So enlighten me, Joe. What am I saying? I don't like the lightweight scales on this. I just don't. And even if you were to tell me I need something lightweight and hard use, he was obsessed with American Lawman. Yeah, the American Lawman was his obsession, but he would talk about it over and over again. And then in his videos, he would show the Manix 2 lightweight whenever he would talk about the knives that he used the most. So, you know, I think the American Lawman became more of a running joke than it was an actual, his actual favorite. I think this was his actual favorite. Not this particular one. I think he had a Maximate 1 and then a regular BD1 N1. Or maybe it was BD1. Either way. No, it was BD1N. But I don't like the plastic scales on this. I would much rather have, if I'm going to go with lightweight scales like this, I would much rather have the Para 3 lightweight, and I don't like that one either. But even more so, and I hate to say it, I would go with the Bugout, because at least the scales are swappable if you get tired of the plastic. So that's kind of what I would say with that. And I know not everyone's a fan of Benchmade. Original Goat and AWT are making scales for the lightweight. Okay, I mean, look, I don't know if you have to, I guess you'd have to have screws screw into the scale, because this is pin construction. So you'd probably have to cut off the pins, right? Pull the pins, pull the scales off, and then they'd have to mill, or they'd have to, you know, burrow out threads for the screws. Only the new lightweights. Yeah. You've had the S110V. Yeah, I mean, S110V is another one that I'm not necessarily thrilled with, you know, as far as steels. And people love the S110V. I kind of view it in the same vein as Maximate. A little bit too brittle for what I need. The ones with the screws, those of us with pins are SOL. The newer ones. You're saying that the newer ones have screws. You know, I didn't know that, because I don't really pay attention to the lightweight ones as much. I didn't know the CQI versions had screws. So if you have an older one, it sounds like the AWT are not an option, but if you have the newer ones, they are. Now that you've mentioned AWT, you've gotten me started on one of my favorite topics. I love AWT scales. I happen to have them mostly in Benchmades, but the Benchmade, whoops, I'm breaking stuff. The Benchmade Freak and the Benchmade Readout are completely transformed with those scales. I think I have one more. I really want the tagged out in those scales. Let me see. Do I have one more set of scales, or I don't? Don't think I do. Thought I did. Maybe I just plan to order them. I plan to get some of the AWT scales on the tagged out. I'll have those shortly. But the contoured scales from AWT completely transform the Freak. Those of you guys who've been watching the channel know that the blade on the Freak is one of my favorite blades of all time. But the handle on the original Freak was not. And so once you replace them with AWT scales, it becomes like a super knife. And it's a true super Freak. Hey, Dane, how are you? Great to have you. And on the Readout, the original handles on the Readout are garbage. They are Grivery handles, and they are spiny and full of, I don't know what the hell they were thinking with the spines. It's like a bed of nails. Good morning. But the, how much thinner is the handle stock? The blacked out narrows? Yeah, so So I'll get to the narrows in a second, but the Readout is one of the most slept on knives I think that has come out in the last couple of years, and I think it has a lot to do with the steel is CPM D2, which again the CPM version of D2 is not the same as regular D2, but this knife is probably one of the most underrated knives to come out in like the last 3 or 4 years, and it's a shame it doesn't get more hype. But the AWT scales, hey G-Ball, how are you? The AWT scales completely transform this. So for the price of what, you know, a decent 940 goes for, you can get both the scales and the knife for, and really just have an awesome, you know, heavy duty user. We are having a party at 2:30 in the morning. I think that you're still a patron. If you are, go check. I made a post on there about a giveaway, so go ahead and check that out. But it's great to see everyone. I happen to be, you know, a night dweller, as you guys know. Working on videos, didn't think anyone would be live. Yeah, you know what? I do Little League. You know, most of my weeknights are taken. I'm a Little League coach, and I also do. Well, I'm a lawyer, so my job is my life. So it's hard to find time, except at night, in the middle of the night when everyone's sleeping, because I'm also a parent. And I have 3 little kids, and they are always up earlier. But yeah, one of the most slept on knives, period. Now, Joe asked me about the Anthem, or not the Anthem, the Narrows. So let's go ahead and take a look at the Narrows. So there's a DLC version of this that just came out. What is sleep? Exactly, Joe. Exactly. Who needs to sleep? But the Narrows is, I mean, and you were asking about the thickness of the handle. All right, here you go. So it's still a thick handle on the Super Freak, by the way, just to give you an idea. But the Narrows is very narrow, and I don't know that necessarily it's still not it doesn't feel like a $500 knife, and that's everyone's complaint. I will say that with the construction and what it takes to make the knife, it is a $500 knife. And I think, I'll say the same thing I said before. If you need the lightweight, it's a knife for you. If you need the thin profile, it's a knife for you. If you are a collector and just want to have, you know, a lot of titanium Benchmades because you're a collector and you want to have like the higher end models, then this knife is for you. If you're anyone else, it's not for you. It's kind of how I feel about it. But the DLC version looks, as Joseph described it, chef's kiss. Mwah. It is beautiful knife, and I will be buying one, just not now, because I actually just bought a few. Well, I just went on a huge spending spree that I shouldn't have done. Not for you with that DLC. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's not, the Narrows is definitely not for everyone. But I wanted to show you a couple of things that I did buy recently that are soaking up the budget. So I bought a lot of old titanium Benchmades. Yours came from Top Dog. Oh, awesome. Someone needs a knife sale. I do, and I hadn't been posting on Patreon as much recently, so there will be a knife sale, and I am very, very in need of a knife sale, and my wife will kill me if I do not do a knife sale. So there will be a knife sale. I won't be pulling out because the camera's in the way. I got a couple of the rare 940s. Next time I do a 940 video, I'll show you that. But I got the Benchmade Lum LFTI, which is just a killer knife in M4, guys. In CPM M4. Look at that. It's nice and thick, Tonto edge. Still comes down on a decent grind. It's still extremely high quality even today. I also got a Pinnacle, Benchmade Pinnacle. But these are both Sub Rosas. One is more of a user condition than the other, and one has a black blade and one doesn't. But you can see these are assisted. Those are things with 460 people with 467 knives have. I hate to tell you, yeah, they're washers. They're all washer knives. I hate to tell you, that might not be far off from how many knives I have. It's a little out of control at the moment, which is why Joe is right. It's time for a knife sale. Frame lock Benchmade. Yeah, so a lot of the older models are frame locks. This is a frame lock. This is an assisted frame lock. This is a Lurch design. You might know Lurch has a lot of CRKT designs that are out, but he has a lot of his knives are great. And this blade reminds me of the 710 blade, the recurve on it. It's just an excellent blade shape. And this is, look how smooth this is as far as until you get to that assisted mechanism. And then obviously it pushes in because it's got that assist. It hits really hard. So it's got a really satisfying assist. You know, some knives feel cheap when they're assisted. This doesn't feel cheap. And then I've got the satin version. And then we've got the old Sentinel. Funny story on this. I thought it was called a Blue Star, according to the guy who sold it to me. And he also told me these were G10. I felt them right away. I said, nope, that feels like Benchmade aluminum, right? So the liners are titanium, blue anodized titanium, and the scales are actually the black anodized aluminum on these. And this has the old Benchmade logo. Whoops, let's see. Where they didn't have the model numbers on it, and it still says Balisong in the middle. And this is an Elishuis design. He did a lot of spear points, so this is comfortable. It has really nice smooth action. The other ones I think are bronze washers. I think these ones are Teflon. Funny story with this knife is that I was watching the only review on YouTube of this knife that I could find, which was Bearded Gear. By the way, whatever happened to Bearded Gear? Anyone know? Did he just disappear? I know he's still in the Facebook groups, but I haven't seen him around. This knife, I think, was, I think he told the story about how it was the first knife that he got. So just like how I feel about the 943, that's how he feels about this knife. This also has the old Benchmade USA clip they don't make anymore. So it's a really cool knife. They all came tipped down back in the day. And then, all right, let me just see if anyone knows. Who knows what this is? This is your trivia for the night. Who knows what this is? Anyone? Bueller? Bueller? It's a recurve Tonto. You guys seen a recurve Tonto tonight? This is called the Gaucho. This also was an Osborne design, just like the 940. This was a limited edition version. Yeah, the Gaucho was a... I think they didn't make a ton of these. But I get, the handle's super comfortable, though, I have to say. Super comfortable handle. And you have a nice spot here for your thumb. Very well-designed knife. Very, very well-designed. It's a shame I guess people just didn't like the recurve. But it's a very, very cool knife. Very well-designed. All right, let's see. You guys want to see some automatics? I know somebody was asking for a Strider. Could show you guys some automatics. What do you guys want to see? Hello? What do you guys want to see? Automatics? Autos. All right, let's go see autos. I'll put those away later. 1 second. Where is the Vector? Yeah, so the Vector was recurve Tonto. I know they also had the... Was the Vector the one that they remade in that green that was assisted? That's also an assisted Benchmade, by the way, that was on axis lock assisted. The one that was like $350, you know, not too long ago. All right, Dane, just for you, I'll show you the sleeve Bowie. But we'll get to the autos right after that. Let's see, where is it? Here we go. The sleeve Bowie. And then I got this in a trade recently, the Techno. So I finally got to check out with the Techno the original finish that was on the original sleeve Bowie and the original finish on both titanium and the blade. And I do have to say, the original finish is better. The original goat is the better goat. So, yeah, but I do like the knife, what do you call it, the knife joy version of this. And I'm just glad they brought it back, because I don't think I would have ever owned it if it wasn't for the fact they brought it back. So yeah, that's the new Scarab. Let me go ahead and do those now. Now that we got the Techno out of the way and the sleeve Bowie. Let me see how many of the new ones I have. I think this is the only new one that I have. I haven't gotten my hands on the new, well, I have a couple of ones. Hold on. All right, I don't have the LUT. I don't have the new LUT. In fact, I actually have a lot of the old stuff, to be honest. Yeah, with the crud cutter, this is the only one I have with the crud cutter. It's got the crud cutter there, right? And I'll show you the action on this. So, you know how stiff the action was on the old Scarab? So this feels, I'm putting very light pressure, light pressure, light pressure, light pressure. I still haven't put as much pressure as I would put on an Ultratech on this. I'm already at the point where I can just push a little bit more and deploy the blade. So it's extremely light. It is so light. I put out a video that you can do this with the Scarab. It's still a little tight, but this, you could not do this with the Scarab under the old one, right? It would require a lot more strength. Yeah, the Anthem would be great. I don't, Benchmade doesn't have a huge history of returning things that have been discontinued. Spyderco has already said it doesn't do discontinued things. That's why when it brought back the Phoenix and the long throw for safety, I like it. Yeah. They brought back the sleeve Bowie and the Phoenix and a couple other knives, and they brought them back in different configurations because they have a rule that they don't bring back the original version. Benchmade doesn't have that rule, but I also haven't seen them bring back any old designs, so who knows? I guess we'll see at some point. Maybe when it's the anniversary of some sort of big knife that they had. Of course, they did just bring back the 710 in a new version. It's not the same as the old 710. I have all 3 versions on order, by the way. So I was pre-ordered all 3 of them. It was a lot of money at once when they dropped to do that. Phoenix is the name. It just can't disappear. Yeah. I think the CQI'd Bowie again with a lock insert. Yeah, the CQI, this is the CQI version, by the way. It does have the lock insert. That's the new one. So yeah, this does have a long throw. Also, I think all the new ones come with the, I forgot what this is called, but it's so that this can fire underwater for marine use. So it not only fires better with the new switch and krug cutter, but it also and still has that long throw, like I said, and easy pull. It also has, I think all the new versions have this, the fluting, I think that's what they call it. So all of them are fluted, I think, instead of just a select few. I used to only do that on the Shadow version, I think, and a couple other versions, the fluting. And you'd have to like get it special, fluted and unfluted. I think all of them have the fluting now. Correct me if I'm wrong. This is the new hotness, the banana knife, the Stab Nana. And I did not think I would like this knife. I actually didn't get the Heretic Rock, which is the model it's based off of, until much later after it had come out. So I hadn't gotten this for a while, and a lot of people don't like, the Hawkbill blades and stuff. I actually will tell you, this is an excellent blade. I would feel comfortable. Gold Class Anthem would be cool. That'd be really cool. Really cool. Gold Class Anthem. The Minion banana knife. Yeah, it's a Chiquita banana, right? Chiquita banana. And they even had a peeled version. They did it at Blade Show, Texas. The peeled version had a satin blade with a yellow, I think, coating on it. Excuse me, almost dropped that on myself and stabbed myself. The thing about the Rock is that a denim sheath, yeah, that's hilarious. A denim sheath would be hilarious. That's awesome, Joe. But this one also is one that has a really easy switch to actuate. Whoops, not doing it there, but yeah, it's pretty easy to actuate. Not quite as easy as the. I guess you can't do it from the back because you don't have enough handle back here, but it feels much lighter than the regular ones. But I can pull it back pretty easy from there. So I like the clips on these ones better. I never really liked the Rock as much when the design came out, and I don't like the Hawk necessarily as a design from Microtech. But after I got this in hand, the curve on this actually fits the hand really well, and the ergonomics it's honestly the best ergonomic OTF I've felt, which is kind of funny because it's a banana. And I will say that the Hawkbill feels great. Like if you're thinking, hey, I'm going to use this for self-defense or something, it definitely feels like something you could use for self-defense. And it also just really is, a great knife if you're going to use for peeling, or if you're going to do some, cutting where you want to pull something into the blade, or generally opening packages with just the tip. So this is much more useful than you would think. I really bought this for the novelty value and found myself actually carrying it, which I did not think would happen. So it's a cool knife, whether you get the Chiquita banana version or one of the other versions with like the battle worn finish or anything. Check out the Rock. The Heretic Rock is good. I don't know that I would go for the Microtech Hawk banana for self-defense. You know what? When they came out with the Combat Troodon and the Twisted T, someone used Twisted T for self-defense, and then they made a knife out of it. So it is what it is. I think it's very feasible at that point. I'll show one of the other newer Microtechs that came out was the Makora. So, and I'll get to the Strider. I know we're waiting on the Strider. But this is the Makora. I like the double serrated, but I have all these versions. If I found this one in double serrated, I would have gotten it in double serrated. This is the Outbreak. I really like the Outbreak. It has like this, blood, zombie, post-apocalyptic look to it, and all the metal is, like it's slightly rusted. It's got hammer marks in it. It looks really cool. It's got the biohazard symbol. I have all the knives, it seems. Yeah, somebody made a joke that, one of the knives I had is the knife you buy when you have 467 knives. And I said that's not so far from the truth. Unfortunately, I have way too many knives right now. I shouldn't say unfortunately. Fortunately, I'm blessed to be able to have so many knives. Unfortunately, it's at a point where I need to offload some. I have to sell. I keep telling myself I'm going to sell and then not selling, and I'm at a point where I need to sell probably 50 to 100 knives. That's how many I have at the present, and there's so many that it's kind of overwhelming just to, be like, okay, which am I carrying today, and which am I doing? Which am I going to use for this? Which am I going to shoot a video on? And the truth is that as sounds like first world problems, but for somebody with ADHD, you want to keep the decision making to a minimum. as far as executive function. So it's I spend way too much time in the morning just being like, hey, which knife am I going to get to? I probably get 80 people rolling their eyes when they view this later. This one's really cool. It's kind of like Darth Vader kind of look to it. This was the Blade Show West exclusive, I think. I like how it has the orange and then fade to black. Got to get down to 365 so every knife gets carried. You know, that's a good point. That's a good point. One per day for a year. Actually, I'm up to about 24, 25 940s of the different variations. And I only carry one out of all of the 940s because pretty much all of them are collectible. So, I carry two, really. I carry the 943 that I've been carrying since I was a kid. And then, you know, a regular 940 that has some upgrades on it. She found 467 knives. Did you seriously, G-Ball, or if you're still here, did you seriously have 467 knives? By the way, well, I'll show you guys. I seriously also have quite a few knives, even with the ones I pulled out. You know, everything is basically full. So, and I've got 3 more of these cases. So, quite a few knives. I've also got a full case of Medfords and a full case of automatics, which you're seeing now. So those are the Macoras. Let's go ahead and take a look at that Strider. Where is that Strider? So here's a Strider PT. This is a, like I said, this is a limited run version. They came out with one that was, I believe, that had these same handles that they widely released, but it did. This is the only run they did where this is an enthusiast run. I don't know if they marked it. Did they mark it? No, they didn't mark it. So this is an enthusiast run with the it's got a 2-tone DLC handle, and it's also got a 2-tone DLC blade with an Irie compound grind. So beautiful knife, and these are the stainless steel. They have like what is it, like an 18.6 or 18.5 stainless steel, DLC'd on the sides, DLC'd. It's satin flats and DLC'd, you know, in the crevices. Just a very cool version of it, and the weight of the stainless steel feels really good on the much smaller Strider PT knife. So that PT, and I'll tell you what, Strider ergonomics are great. Strider ergonomics feel excellent in the hand. You're making me actually miss having my my customs from Strider. I sold them, traded them, but I kind of miss having them. So anyway, that's that one. Let's see. So I sold off one of my deadlocks, by the way. I still have this titanium version in aluminum with the DLC blade. And I'll break out some of the higher end beauties. Here is a Patrick Famine DOTF and a Brian Tie twist tie with a Damascus clip side with Damascus clip and ruby ball, I guess, in there. It's got Damacor and a compound grind. Yeah, that's a ruby. This is for some reason the show side is aluminum. I don't really understand why, but they've got the Damascus. Basically, the real show side is the back. This is my mullet knife. It's all party in the back. Also, this Tonto is ridiculous on this thing. I mean, it starts way back here. Who the hell does that? Brian Ty, I guess. Twist tie. And it's also got the, the unique button that he has. Here's the DOTF. Whoops. With Damascus, superconductor, titanium, Kiradashi Tanto. Yeah, this is a steel. It's a, I'm sorry, a copper infused steel. Cheat side and cheap, not cheap side of the scales. Yeah. And this is done on both sides. This light sucks. Let's see if I can. Yeah, there we go. This thing is beautiful. And this thing, the actuator button on this is tight, but it feels great when it thuds out. Feels excellent. His knives are beautiful. His knives are beautiful. These are some high end, and this is a Model C, and I still think this is beautiful. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get. I originally was going to sell this and try to get one of the titanium versions, but I really like this and the ruby in the pocket clip. You're still like that ruby in the pocket clip. Yep. And the pocket clip's Damascus. Did you see the Damascus? But I think what I'm going to do is get this engraved. And then eventually maybe I'll get the titanium version if I sell enough off. Maybe that'll be one of the knives that I repurchase. Did you see the Damascus? Yeah, I actually said that. I had a misfire on that Brian Ty. Must be the ruby. Okay, another really underrated knife, in my opinion. Yeah, filigree engraving, that type of thing. I don't know if I'd exactly do a filigree. I might do a geometric. I'm not exactly sure what I would do. Filigree sounds great, though. The ruby was blocking your vision. This is still one of my favorites. This is so slept on. By the way, if you guys haven't entered, go ahead and enter. I'm giving away a Fenris. There's only 9 people here, but I'm giving away that massive Midgard's Messer knife. If you haven't entered, go enter for that giveaway. I haven't done the drawing yet, and definitely don't miss that. But yeah, this is the whiskers. The Magic 1, is okay. It's small. It's too small. The Magic 2 is the perfect size. It really is. And I don't have a Spidey Chef anymore, but a lot of people complained about. It's funny because it's funny what YouTubers say. If I remember right, I think both I think Slicey Dicey, Metal Complex. Yes, I'm naming names. So you go back and check the reviews. But I think it was Slicey Dicey, Metal Complex, and a couple of others back at the time that were reviewing the Magic 2. I think Nick Shabazz also did. And yeah, I said his name again. I think Nick Shabazz also did. There were a couple of, Neves wasn't out yet at the time and didn't do a review of this yet. But when this came out, everyone reviewed it and they were panning the blade. The blade's okay. It's all gimmicky. It's not a great knife or whatever. And then they would go out and they said the Spidey Chef was such an excellent knife, such excellent cutting. Yeah, I mean Shabazz's reviews are good, but he also likes small knives for his tiny hands. Sorry, not sorry. So but a lot of people panned this and just said it was a gimmick, and I think this knife is more than a gimmick. I think the actual knife design is excellent. The blade itself is, if you lay it over top of a Spidey Chef, it's the same exact blade profile. Okay, so all the people that sat there and said that this blade wasn't any good or it was just and then went and talked about how amazing the Spidey Chef is. I know the grind is slightly better on the Spidey Chef because it's a full flat grind, but basically here's what I'm going to say: kiss my ass, because this is an excellent knife, and the even with a high saber grind, it is still an excellent knife. It's a shit show. Is it my shit show, or I don't even know what? It's 2 in.the morning. You can't blame me if it's a little bit of a shit show. It is what it is. But I'm also very blunt, and I'll say what I feel. So, which is why I hope you guys like me. But the Whiskers 2 is a super underrated design, just like the Benchmade Readout, and of course it has the great party trick. You slide the scale forward, and boom, it deploys. But the knife itself is excellent and makes an awesome carry. No, my name has left me a shit show. Haha. Oh, I did not even see that was your name. Oh, that's awesome. If he wins the giveaway. Yeah, so go enter in the giveaway if you haven't entered in the giveaway. But definitely hugely underrated knife. Check out the Magic Whiskers 2. If you get one of these, I would definitely highly recommend the feathered version, which is what this is, because it's textured, and when you slide that scale, that texture comes in handy. Now, Protex aluminum can be slick if you get the flat one. When will I do the drawing? Probably tomorrow. It's not going to be tonight, but I'll probably do it tomorrow in the office, and because I have a little bit better capability on the computer in the office, and I'll probably just do it then. But it'll be tomorrow. I think I gave a week, and I think the week was up at midnight tonight. But I'll still take entries until I do the drawing, because obviously the comment picker is going to pick what the comment picker picks. Say that a bunch of times fast. Okay, anyway, that's the Magic Whiskers 2. But speaking of Mike Irie, Casio G-Shock by CDC watch. Oh, you're talking about my... Yeah, I've got a Apple Watch. Meh. It helps me because I can leave my phone places, and I can... and I'm a lawyer, and I can take phone calls on my watch. So, while I agree with you, this is easier. Also, I'm not as much of a watch guy. So, while we were talking about Irie grinds, I figured, let's go ahead and talk about this knife, which is the TR3 in the DLC Irie grind. Now, the DLC Irie grind is is probably my favorite blade that ProTech makes, and they almost never do it. So, you guys who like the look of this sort of mirrory finish on the TR3 Irie compound grind with the DLC, go spam ProTech and tell them they need to do more of these in all their different models, because we're sick of having only satin mirror polish and no DLC. But this one is titanium. It's been re-DLC. Actually, here's the feather. Here's the original one that came out. And then these came out like 2 years later in titanium. This was the blue. I think this was the blue and bronze titanium, that they do. And then somebody DLC coded it and swapped the hardware from a rose gold TR3. It does look banging, and the work on it's great. And I really like carrying this one. So this gives me one that this is definitely a safe queen. Where's my... Yeah, this is definitely a safe queen, and I don't take it out too much because I don't want to damage it. It's a limited edition. This one is... Should have swapped a ruby instead of rose gold. Yeah, it should have been all ruby hardware. I'm gonna get like a ruby something in honor of Joe. Like he's so blown away by the ruby. Let's see. Let's do a couple of Ultratechs. All rubies all the time. So I have about 4 Ultratechs. It's going to be a pain in my ass when they release the new Ultratech. I don't know if they've announced it yet, but if they haven't announced it yet, it's definitely coming because they really redesigned all their other knives with that new slide lock that they have. But this was a Blade Show Texas version, and I live in Texas, so gotta love that one. Ultratech condoms? What? Do they come pre-pierced? Like, what does that... Ultratech condoms? Nightmare grinds on the Protex? No, the grinds are Irie compound grinds. He doesn't call them nightmare grinds. I don't know what he calls them, but Protech calls them Mike Irie compound grinds. They're silicone covers. Oh, they're condoms that go on the Microtechs, on the Ultratechs themselves. No, I haven't seen that, and if you put a condom on your knife, yeah, no. I mean, there's a lot of things I do as a knife guy, but that is utterly ridiculous. Utterly ridiculous. So, sorry if I offend anyone who puts condoms on their knives, but not everything needs protection. Definitely a knife condom. Oh, man. What will people do next? Let's see. A couple other Microtechs. We've got the old version of the LUT, because I am apparently very classic now. And we've got the Stitch. And I got the Shadow version of the Stitch, which I love. I got rid of my Stitch a while ago, and then I got this one back. I carried it for a little bit, and then I put it away, and I don't know if this is going to end up being the ones that I sell, but every time I sell it, I want it again. You know, if the condoms are ribbed, are they ribbed for your pleasure, the knife's pleasure? What does that do to your pocket? All the late night questions matter. I don't know. Laugh out loud dose. But the old LUT, I don't think they redesigned the new LUT that much. I think the general handle profile is the same, if I remember right. They just gave it some new fancy duds. The reason that's of concern to me, or of note, is I don't like the LUT. It constricts your hand to too small a space. This will be one that I sell when I do my knife sale. I do not like the LUT. I've not used this that much because I got it, and as soon as I, started messing with it, I remembered why I didn't like the LUT, and I decided to sell it right away. So, you're jonesing for an auto stitch. Joe, are you telling me you want me to put this up in the knife sale? I really like the auto stitch. I didn't get the Ramlock one, and I don't think I will get the Ramlock one. Hey, Didier. Great to have you. You're reaching us at the tail end. I'm close to wrapping up. It's like 2 in the morning here. And it's 3 in the morning on the East Coast, I think. But good morning to you. All right, I'll definitely check that out. You've been a long-time supporter. I may have to include this one. And since you mentioned it on the live, I'll give you first dibs. So Joey, West Coasters are a problem, and I don't know. I'm going to have to hold that against you somehow. Maybe I can do something occultish with Ruby. One thing that I never quite got with this is with most autos, you can if you did this, it would pop right back out. But Microtech, for some reason, they're out the side autos don't do that. Like on a ProTech, let me get a ProTech for comparison. And I'll get this one because some of the other ones, if you put it out slightly, you know, it pops back, right? But you can see here, it's quite a bit of space before that spring engages. I don't know why that is. I don't know why Microtech does it that way. I think that if they had maybe a longer spring, people really enjoy the pop that this comes out of. It is hard. It kicks. But I think you can get even more kick out of it, and I think people would like it a little bit more as a result. Just a little critique that I don't know a lot of people that haven't held one of these don't necessarily know. So, is that on all side Microtechs? Let me see. Yeah, it looks like it. At least the older versions. It has to do with how their springs set up versus how ProTech sets up their springs. I'm curious now. How about something with a lighter spring? This is the Benchmade CLA. So yeah, Benchmade also has. So the way ProTech sets up their springs, you would think that some other companies would take notice and set them up similar, because ProTech is the standard for autos. It really is. Microtech might be the standard for out the front autos, but ProTech is the standard for out the side autos. There is no question. So it's funny that I have 14 people. Probably at least half of you guys are on the Europe side because of what time it is, and you guys are all interested in autos right now, which is funny because you can't carry them. Silly knife laws. There's a Trickster for Kids joke in there somewhere. Here's a Hera. This is a Marfione Hera with Damascus. Has that hefted titanium. It's got that new clip. Now the Hera does not have the crud catcher, okay, but it does have sort of that. The handle's not here, so it's hard to do, but it's a very light spring. Wet Knife Laws, Arizona here. Yeah. Yeah. So it's lighter than a lot of Microtech's other stuff. The spring on this one. Don't know why. I don't know if that's because it's a Marfione. The Marfione's the only Hera I've ever owned. I got this in a trade. The Hera is not my jam. If you were interested in a Hera, this is also something I would probably sell. So, but this is a Marfione, so it'd be more expensive. All right. One thing that I don't think gets enough credit, the Hogue Counter-Strike. Now, it has the exact reason why Strider is the only out the side auto I want Project built. Strider Ergos. Yeah. Yeah. You care much for autos or novelty wears off kick. You know, I used to feel the same way about autos. I'm going to be honest with you. The out the fronts are purely for fun. I don't, if somebody comes up to me and says, hey, I want it out the front, do you recommend it? I will tell you straight up, I don't recommend it. I don't recommend it for everyday carry. I don't recommend it for self-defense. I think it can misfire. I don't recommend out the fronts. Out the sides, I do recommend. And ProTech is the best out the side, so I would recommend them more than anyone else. But that is just my 2 cents. But this Counter-Strike has the milling in the aluminum, kind of like the twist tie, with the rubies, and nice carbon fiber top, also with that milling in it. I don't know if you can see it in the camera, but it has the ridges of that milling. Can you see it? I don't know. I like the blue hardware on this. This really gives it like a higher end type of Marfione type of feel. The finishing on this, while having a price point, this is a $400 knife. The G10 versions of this, I think, are $300, if I remember right. I think they're G10. I think they have some fully G10 ones, and they have some G10 aluminum ones, if I remember right. I know they have G10 aluminum, and those are much cheaper. The grind on this is thinner, I think, than some of the Microtech ones. Started with a Booker Kalashnikov, and now you have multiple PTs. Yeah. So the out the sides really grew on me. That's what I was getting at. I hated autos probably for the first 2 years that I collected knives. They have no fidget factor is kind of the way I felt. And then when I got used to manipulating knives all the time, and it wasn't just fidget factor, it was also like they're boring. You push a button, whatever. But to find something to replace it, I came to appreciate this pretty good knife. Yeah, so I came to appreciate it. I really like here's how I sort of, and like I said, I have ADHD, so it is what it is. People yell at me for thinking fidget factor is a thing that, but I think that a lot of people do appreciate fidget factor. So I like being able to do this. I like the tension on the spring, and I like to be able to sort of feel that tension against me as a fidget. So instead of fidgeting the knife up and down, back and forth on a button lock, like this, I sort of fidget with them this way, right? The CLAs, 100% are really good knives. This is basically an auto bug out. For those of you who have never held a CLA, it is extremely lightweight, and the scales are G10, so it's definitely sturdier than a bug out. I believe all the versions are G10, I think, right? The CLA. They may have had one version with Grivery, I can't remember. But the G10 is excellent. Yeah. The Infidel is a sucky knife. I'll bring this back out. I like the deadlock. I don't like the Microtech, what is it called? The Dirac. So I like the deadlock. I like the deadlock just because it is a different feel than any other type of. The quality is a step up. Any other knife that has this side button deploy, or top button deploy, I should say, because they consider the other ones the side. These top button deploys suck. I don't recommend them. The ergonomics are not good, and I do recommend the deadlock, but I don't recommend the Dirac, and I don't recommend the Benchmade Infidel. I don't recommend the deadlock for somebody who isn't a knife collector. Kind of how I feel about that. I wouldn't recommend the deadlock as my only carry. But I would recommend the CLA as my only carry. It's just classic design. Really classic design. And very comfortable in hand. All right. We've gone through quite a few of these. It's late. I'm trying to see if I have something to give away, because you guys have hung out with me quite a while, so give me a second. I think a lot of my giveaway knives might be in another case that I can't get to right now. But let's see what I have. All right. You guys are going to have pretty good odds because it is a late night. Here's what I'm going to give away. You always say that that when you give away a knife, or when you give away something, get someone a present, you buy something that they wouldn't buy for themselves. That's how I feel about this knife. Don't buy it for yourself, but if you win it, it's really cool. The CRKT Ritual. And this is an expensive knife, by the way, for a giveaway on a late night live. But I mean, it's not hugely expensive. It's I think these run like $90 or something, $100. But for a late night live, it's pretty expensive giveaway. It does look extremely. I'll let you imagine what that looks like. But the blade on it's pretty cool. It has that Persian tip. I'm not a big fan of trailing point normally, but the assist mechanism on this is so cool with this knife. Definitely flamboyant. I want somebody to carry it with these super like loud bolsters. The white is cool, but those blue bolsters are so loud. Just like the CRKT writing on here. Bayroni-ish. You guys who are overseas, you know, if you win, I do require overseas people to pay shipping because shipping's expensive. But yeah, sacramental knife, a ritual knife, if you will. I probably won't get the CRKT compact ritual. I think one ritual is enough for me. But yeah, they came out with some upgraded versions. One ritual is enough for me, but this was a cool knife to own for a little bit, and I think you guys will enjoy it. Let me think of how I want to run this game. I will run this game by running a number from 700 to 900. And there's only 12 people, so 13 people. Whoever just joined, you're in time for a giveaway, so lucky you. We're going to run a number from 700 to 900. And I guess one guess per person. The closest without going over is going to win. So, excuse me, 700 to 900. Assisted is illegal. Come on. All right, I'll tell you what. If one of you guys who's overseas wins this, contact me if it's illegal for where you live. I'll work out another knife with you that isn't illegal where you live. How about that? So you can still play. Okay? So get 700 to 900. Let's go ahead and start, and I'll let you guys know. One guess apiece. Everything's illegal in Belgium. Sorry for you, Didier. All right, waiting for some answers. Great beer and food. Hey, can't go wrong. Still waiting on some entries. Still waiting. Has everyone entered? I'll do a countdown about 10 seconds, and then I'll have to cut it off. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Stop. Guys, you're killing me because the number was 748, and I think I saw two 751s. But it was supposed to be the close without going over. So if you guys, I did 748 for the narrows. So, let me rerun one more, because I think every single person was over on that. All right, so this one will just be the person who's closest. Doesn't matter. whether you go over or not, and I'm going to do budget knife of the year. This was the budget knife of the year 2022? Come on. If Nick Shabazz put a Persian trailing point knife as knife of the year, he must have been doing one of his joke videos, because no way. No way. All right. I will do from 400 to 600. Knife condom is not the correct answer, but it should be. From 400 to 600, go. Closest, just the closest. 400 to 600. El Cap, you're entering for top dog. Yeah, there's no way he recommended it as a knife. There's no way he recommended it as like, yes, buy this knife for EDC. It is like, he complains about every big knife, and this is a big knife. And it's also really kind of unwieldy with what it has. Is that everyone? I'm going to count down from 10. Give you guys 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay. The number was 430. Who's a winner? 430. $430. I think it might have been a Joe knife, except for the fact that he changed his answer to Ruby. Did you change your answer to Ruby, Joe? I think Joe guessed 441 or something like that. Joe, you changed your answer to Ruby? Or did you win the knife? Tell me if you're legit disqualifying yourself. Joe, you win unless you disqualify yourself. Tell me what you want to do. All right. So I think the next best guess was El Cap for top dog. Is that right? Top dog. Hey, congrats. El Cap won something for you. Awesome. Email me, man. Congrats. Thank Joe. Definitely thank Joe, because he won. Yeah, definitely congrats, guys. I think you'll like, I mean, the assist on this is really cool. It's a redesigned assist from the way Ken Onion redesigned his assist. If it did win, the mechanism is kind of ingenious. I'm talking about for with Shabazz. It's definitely not his style. So, kind of cool. All right, that'll do it, I think, for tonight. It was fun hanging out. I'm glad we were able to catch up, and appreciate you guys coming out, keeping me company. I figured it was long past time to do some more long form content, and I want to keep churning out some long form content. I want to do some more lives, get more involved. But you know, I hope you guys had a good time, and next time will be the Ruby edition. Stay tuned for the drawing on the Fenris. Awesome. Glad to hear you guys enjoyed it. Awesome. Have a good night, guys. Mahalo. Scott, you just get here? Mahalo, brother. All right, have a good one. Until next time. Good night. I don't know. There's too many gems. I'll have to look for one with a sapphire. All right, good night, guys. Here's your sapphire. Joe, you missed out on the sapphire.